So, yes, here we are, hopefully full of energy, guys, right? People have complained that day two's energy was not as good as day one. And then people were also complaining that the sound quality of passing the mics back and forth, lots of popping and stuff. So we're back in our usual confines of recording here. And we're going to kick things off. Go ahead.
I'm going to step all over you now that we're back on Skype, apparently. But how many times did we mime blowing the mic over and over again? We probably banged it into our faces a dozen times doing that.
Yes, as one is ought to do when they're holding a microphone.
I just watched.
It was day two. We didn't tell any sort of humorous stories of our PAX adventures because we had the OMG guys with us. We were down to business talking about games, and of course we had beer and food on our mind as we were doing those because that's essentially what the next thing was going to happen. But we did have some humorous events take place. Corey, you want to sort of relay what happened in the elevators?
Was it the first day or was it the second day, the elevator incident?
Okay. It was the second day.
Yeah. That was my first time going through the elevators.
Yeah, so the first time I ever went to PAX with you guys were like, "Oh, we know this elevator secret here." So on the first day on Friday, media gets in an hour early. It's nice. We get in, we get to play things that are going to have huge lines. But second and third days, we just get let in when they open the door, and it's just this huge cattle call. So I don't know who found it. Mike find it or Jay find it? One of you guys found it where if you walked around to the side, the elevators, even from the third floor, go all the way down to the show floor and nobody watches them. So you can go in a few minutes early or at the exact same time, but on the other side of the floor. So you're we're not crowded. And what did a few people walk up behind us as we were getting in the elevator? We got in with the food guy. The guy who was bringing food down to the floor.
Yeah. The four of us and the food guy.
Right. And I thought it was just us. The door opened. We stepped in. We turned around, and I don't know. It was it's 5 or 6, a group of people flooded up to the door, and I was standing in the middle of you guys, and I don't know who. I remember Mike was behind me to my left, up against the wall, safely away from these people. I was right in front of the door, and Jay's next to the button, and I just hear Mike yell to Jay across the elevator as they're looking me in the eye, hit the button, hit the button, hit the button.
Well, what happened was we got to the first floor, so we were on the third, and the food guy was riding down to the first floor, and these people were waiting on the first floor, thinking they could cut the line too and get in the elevator. So
he had a cart.
The food guy gets out with the cart, which sort of pushes them back. And as that's happening, that's when I say, "Jay, shut the door. Press the button. Press the button."
I didn't hit any buttons. I was in the corner. I couldn't even touch.
Oh, maybe it was Sean. It was Sean.
Yeah, I think it was Sean. I didn't realize he hit the button.
So Sean hits the button, and these people come towards the door. "No, let us in, no!" And Corey pick it up from there.
Yeah, they're looking right at me. I could see the desperation in their eyes. So I was like, if they make it in, I want to make it seem like I was rooting for them. So I threw myself against the door, but not really putting my fingers or feet in between the door. And I was like, "No, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And as soon as the door closed, I'm like, "I'm not fucking sorry."
You were still yelling as we started going down. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." So he's doing this. I'm in the corner on the floor, just freaking belly laughing. I mean, it was because he stuck his foot out and it missed the door by a millimeter. And it's it legitimately looked like he's trying to stop the door and he missed it. And I'm like, oh my God, we're such assholes.
Well, there were so many of them, man. I didn't want them in there.
Oh yeah, there was no way. If they tried to get in there, there must have been 12 of them. We would have been fucked.
And the Bagel Game shirts were just gleaming, glistening.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Check out bagelgames.com.
I was wearing Gamers and Beta, so how am I? Gamers and Beta, those fucking guys from Gamers and Beta and Bagel Games, they're a bunch of douchebags.
Yeah. They're a bunch of elevator Nazis.
Man, if you want to ride it down, you got to get up on the third floor.
Geez, after the stories we've had, I mean, geez, we sound like horrible people.
I know that was hilarious.
And then Sean and I went to get some drinks on Saturday afternoon, and a Twitch stream broke out around us, a Twitch stream meetup, Goobers 515 or something like that. That was interesting to say the least.
You said there was like, what, 20 some people just like crowded around you while you guys were like trying to have a beer?
It had to be actually maybe 30 to 40 people.
Yeah, they started to show up, and he was doing all kinds of videos for his. I mean, I got to give him credit. He was doing, he had his community, so he was doing his thing. But it was just funny because we were like witnessing this whole thing while we're trying to drink the beer, and I'm like, oh, that was another fucking fiasco. That girl behind the bar. Oh my god.
Yeah. Try to order two beers for $12. We hand her $12, and then I made the mistake of asking for change. Can you break a 10 so I could tip her? Because all Sean had was 12. And she somehow gave Sean back the money for one beer and the rest, and then gave me mine back.
It just broke her brain.
I'm not a moron, you know.
And then I had the misfortune of not being there on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday was another cold day in Boston. It was a very cold weekend. And
Sunday was the coldest. It was in the teens.
So my wife had some things to do in the morning, so I made sure to go in late. And so Jay and his buddy Trav went in early in the morning. I left my house at 11. And Jay, how long has it been taking us to get to PAX? Maybe about 45 minutes with the traffic. But if there was no traffic, I think it's usually about a 25-minute ride.
I would have actually made it in 28 minutes, except for one thing. Maine and Boston have very similar kind of roads. So I'm like, I'm all fine. And I'm driving along, and I'm going by the Whiskey Priest. And I'm like, sweet. All I have to do is take this left right here. And look, it's going to bring me right to the freaking convention center. I forgot one thing. There's tunnels in Boston. I went up 95, and we ended up fucking 4 miles away. It took me another 20 minutes to get back there.
That's the great thing about the convention center. It's like right on top of the highway, on-ramp and off-ramp. So if you intend to go on the highway, that's very useful. But
it was the next road I was supposed to take. I was like, son of a bitch.
Whoops.
So I left my house at 11 on Sunday and got to in front of the convention center right at 12:30. So it was an hour and a half from my door to the convention center. And a majority of that, the hour, was pretty much from inside the tunnel of the expressway to the convention center. So about 1 hour. I knew I was doomed as soon as I saw it backed up that much in the tunnel.
In the tunnel,
that was crazy. Yeah.
And then once I got to the convention center, they were not accepting valet. So Corey usually parks in the lot and does the walk across.
Yeah, I park over near the Whiskey Priest is usually where I park.
Yeah, we parked in behind, and it wasn't that bad. It was like $17. And when we got there, the place was like empty. But I'm looking, going, this is a small lot. It's going to fill up quick.
Yeah, so I usually do valet. It's just more convenient. It's cold. So I went to that, and they said, nope, valet is completely full. The lot behind there was completely full. And so there's big signs, arrows pointing down the street. It had to be about 4 or 5 blocks down the street. And there was no lie, maybe about 200 cars waiting to get into this parking lot. Now, at that point, I was like, fuck this, because you could park your car and then you get on a shuttle bus. And I'm not sure how many people could fit on a shuttle bus, 50 or 60 people. And I was like, how long am I going to wait outside for this shuttle bus if there's 200 cars in front of me?
Jeez, yeah, I was. I got lucky. I got there about like 9:15, and the lot where I park still had a decent amount of spots in it, but that was at 9:15. So, but I have to walk like 3 blocks to get there. So valet's way easier. But I got in, and I got there early for Sunday. Sunday's usually the late day, and I got there early because I had like my serial cleaner interview I had to type up. So I was like, I'm going to get some coffee. I'm going to sit in the media room. I'm going to type. It's going to be a relaxing start. The whole time, Chris Souza, the other editor from Bago, who was there this year, he's texting me. He's like, dude, traffic is fucking ridiculous out here. I've been stuck forever. So when you told me like, fuck it, I can't get in, I'm going home, like I believed it, because you weren't the first one to bitch about traffic that morning.
Oh, yeah, it was horrid.
And then my wife said, well, I'll drive you back in and Jay can drop you off. And I was like, I don't want to sit in traffic again for another hour and a half.
Yeah, I don't blame you. There's been years where I haven't gone on Sundays, and if I had done, we had to do our cosplay interviews that day. So if I'd already done cosplay interviews, I might not have come back Sunday, because like we mentioned on Saturday, there was this wasn't the best PAX showing ever. So
yeah. Well, I gotta say, I mean, Mike had canceled the morning appointments, and then he sends back and he's like, "Yeah, I'm home," and I'm like, "Huh?" Because he said he had forgotten the mic to record.
Why didn't I forget them? I just left them at home.
Right, left him at home. So I was like, oh, okay. I thought he'd gone back to go get them. And I'm like, I don't know. Why would he do that? But then when he said there was a parking, I realized what had happened. So I was like, okay, I'll just go and hit the rest of the meetings that weren't canceled, And
you don't really need appointments anyway, right? I mean, really, you need appointments.
Well, you do and you don't. It depends on the games. It does depend on the games. I didn't have that hard of a time getting into some of the games on Sunday. But I did go to the appointments too. And I managed to see 10 games, which we'll discuss in a little bit after my PC's done rebooting itself. But yeah, I mean, I think it was actually my best day, and not because Mike wasn't there, but because I actually saw the majority of games that I saw were the ones that we had the appointments for were enjoyable, and I was able to stop in and see some games that we didn't have appointments for, which I enjoyed, which were, it wasn't something that was totally broken. And, and like I said, we mentioned previously, in some cases that's legit because you're getting a very, very early, scope of this game. It's still, they're just still producing and programming, so that they're buggy. But we didn't, I wasn't running into these games. You get there and the thing crashes and everything, or the people aren't ready because we're there too early or whatever. But so I think Sunday was probably the most enjoyable for that reason, that I was actually able to see some games that I would actually want to buy. So
now, was it nuts to butts on the floor? Still as busy?
It was nuts to butts, and I'll tell you though, the appointments that I went to, it was very nice because they're like, yeah, come on in. And they'd bring me into this back room, kind of like we had with some of the other appointments. They bring you into a room and they get like a little, within their space, they have a little room set up. So you go in there, sit in a comfortable chair. You're not standing up.
Or you get it back in there.
Bulletstorm took you out back, right?
Fire in the hole, baby.
Yeah. Well, before we dive into these games, because it sounds like you still need to boot up your PC or get that going. Corey, what was your Sunday like?
My Sunday, this was the first year I've kept it totally free of appointments. So my Sunday was like relaxing as fuck. I got to write out stuff early. I got to go on the floor and just wander, which if you go there to cover it, you don't get to do very often. And that's like the best thing to do at PAX.
Yes,
just to wander. Because like you find yourself in areas where you're like, has this been here all weekend? Like I saw several games that I had not seen. It's just like, where did this come from? Where did this come from? And before we recorded on Saturday, I had like 1 hour before, between my last appointment and when we recorded. So I took that time to do some wandering, and I saw Kyle Seeley was there with Emily is Away 2. And I know that guy, and I just hung out and talked to him for a while. And he's like, oh, you should play. And I'm like, oh, we got to record, but I'll definitely come by tomorrow. And on Sunday, I could not find him. Could not find the booth. I wandered all over the place and couldn't find it. So, but we talked to a lot of cosplayers, did a lot of cosplay interviews, which should be going up on BegoGames.com very soon.
And do they have nice things to say? What type of questions did you ask? Can you give us a sampling?
We basically just asked like some silly questions. They're all supposed to be like humorous questions, so I don't want to spoil it too much. But they'll be much shorter and funnier than our actual interviews. Less informative, I guess. If that's what you're looking for, don't watch them.
Did you have the same questions for everybody, or on the fly?
No, we had we had 6 questions, and we asked everybody we talked to the same 6 questions. So like question 1, that's going to be one video, with all the answers strung together. So
and how did you select? Was it just someone that you thought was approachable, someone whose costume was interesting or that you liked? How did you make your selection?
Like anybody we saw in cosplay was like, oh, you. And some people we saw with like crazy great cosplays. Those people we definitely had to get. Like we were going to I was like, I usually don't get dizzy if I don't eat, but I was at the point where I was like dizzy and I was like, I need a sandwich. So
Did anybody tell you to buzz off like I'm not interested?
No, everybody we went up to cooperated, but when there was one point when I was really done with interviews for a little while, I'm ready to go get a sandwich, and then this dude walks by in like a perfect Darth Vader outfit, and I was like, we got to fucking talk to Vader because that looks awesome.
Tell me you found that bad Batman.
No, I didn't. I did look for him though. And we found
awesome.
some. Yeah, that guy was. He was like, well, what did you call him? Scary Spider-Man? He looked like.
Have you later on? That's your homework. Go Google Scary Spider-Man.
I will. This guy looked like his head was bald and he was like sweaty. He looked like a penis that you just ripped the condom off of. Just like, oh my God. Like he had been suffocating in his Batman costume and he'd ripped it off. And he was not the most svelte guy either. He really filled out that Batman costume.
All right. So did you see any games on Sunday that you enjoyed?
I don't even know if I stopped to play any games on Sunday.
Just wandering around.
Yeah, did a lot of wandering. I'll let Jay. Jay's got them written down. He's more prepared than I am today. So if I saw any of the ones Jay
it was
saw.
an accident.
Jay, do you have your document up? Are you ready to talk?
I do.
All right. So let's try, for the sake of our listeners, let's try to be brief and informative on these because you have a bunch.
I do. All right, let's start off what everybody wants to know about. The big AAA game that was there was Mass Effect, and they had the multiplayer there instead of doing it online. They were supposed to have an online kind of beta or trial or whatever you might want to call it. A lot of us signed up for it, and it wasn't there. And I did ask them about that, and they said a lot of us were speculating it's because it's not ready, it's broken, who knows. But part of it, they said, was just, they did a lot of in-house and it worked. And then you also have EA Access and Origin Access on PC. So it'll be available on those on Wednesday. So that gives them an option to be able to fine-tune the servers then. So they're kind of... We're saying that's part of the reason why they decided not to do that. So,
did you play it on Sunday?
I did not get a chance to play it. I am going to have to wait like everybody else. I sat and watched, but I didn't want to bump anybody out. I always hate being in line. So,
oh, you did? I want to hear that.
Yeah, I played it on Friday. I stood in line. There wasn't that many people. When I went over there, there was I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 people in front of me. I went over and played on the Xbox.
Oh, right on the floor.
Yeah, right on the floor. Yeah, I played it. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, number one, visually was stunning. They finally, you got it in here. They added the jumping, but they got a jump jet. So, I mean, you literally can hover and actually shoot guys in cover now. So you can actually go above them and, shoot them. The weapons wheel is a lot different.
Stay professional.
I'm trying. So the weapon wheel was cool. The powers are awesome. They've definitely tweaked those. All the push pull and all that stuff is pretty cool. And you can do.
Now, did you play 3?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. Okay. I likened it to that it is very much like 3, but added to it. It's definitely
right, and that's what they were saying.
Yeah, and they have the 4 classes of weapons, and then they have melee weapons, which is awesome. I love melee weapons. They got a sword, a hammer. I forget what the other one is, but all this stuff can be. It's just. With the combination of the powers and everything else, and the power, you can switch between the powers and switch between your classes. At least I was able to that day. So I don't know if that's a thing or what, but it was really cool. I was playing. I didn't want to stop playing, but the line started backing up, and the guy's like, we could, yeah.
Was it like a because I couldn't tell when we walked by and they had it on the big screen. Was it a 4v4 or was it like a horde thing going on?
It was like like a horde thing.
Okay, so
Jay
you were
confirmed that it's not player versus player. That it's
It's
No,
not PvP. It's the same as it basically is the same as what ME3 was. It's 4 people versus the AI in a horde type thing. You do have objectives, just like you did in 3. There was like you'd play through, and you kind of had the waves that would come through, and then one of the wave, or I think 2 of the waves. While you were playing through, you'd have like 5 waves, and like 2 of them would become objectives. Like you had to go to a computer and hack into it, or you had to go to a bomb or something, like not a bomb but something else, and kind of disarm stuff and stuff like that. Or you could I think there was one as kind of like an escort. You had to escort an orb or something, and this was in 3. So they said there's going to be stuff like that in this also. So it's not PvP, it's that. And the differences are they added jumping. They've added it so it's auto cover. When you run up to cover now, you automatically go into the cover if you
that was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. And I'd asked him, how easy is it to get out of that? So you can roll out of it, or you can just back out of it. They said it is faster paced. They've added new weapons and powers. So that's basically what what they've added is they've added a few things to it that are going to make it. And it looks absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, it does look great.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what those names were above the heads court when we were watching it.
I was just looking at a video to figure that out.
I can tell you right now.
Sean.
I think I know what that is. Basically, I think what that is other players that had played the game. So basically, the AI is made up of people that have played the game. I know they've done that in other games. I can't remember which ones off the top of my head.
That'd be confusing as fuck, because then you...
Yeah, it would.
I'd want the AI to have no names on them.
Well, does it take... It takes players who've played previously, not players who are playing at the moment, right?
Right. Yeah, the players that have played previously, it just takes them and makes them AI.
Is it dumb?
That's
is it
odd?
Is it just a name thing, or does it like pretend to map some of their behavior almost like a ghost in Mario Kart?
Yeah, well, that's what I couldn't figure out. And I wanted to ask him, but then all of a sudden they got flooded, so I didn't get a chance to ask that question.
Well,
I know that is in some games that they do that.
I've seen it, yeah.
Call of Duty was one of them that used to do it. You'd be playing against your friends, but they would play as AI.
With this, though, where you've got 4 people who are playing, if you're not playing with 3 other people, it will put bots in. They did confirm that, just like 3. And when you're playing, the players that you're playing with, the other 3 players, will have a tag over them with either the gamer tag, or it will just be a generic name above bots if you're playing with bots. So maybe that's what we were seeing.
I swear it was the people that they were shooting at. But again, we were also out in the hallway looking at the big screen, so I couldn't exactly read it. So I
was looking at a video, and it did look like it was doing that, and it like had the name of like what was above it, like sniper or shooter or demolition above it. So maybe they do have it labeled in that way, but I don't know. That's not something I asked them. I didn't realize. Again, I didn't get a chance to play it. So
I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't worried about it. I was just worried about not dying. So,
well, we'll figure that out on Wednesday when people get to play. Does anybody here on the EA Access?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So that will be answered on Wednesday. What's another game that you saw, Jay?
Well, just real quickly, the DLC will work the same way as Mass Effect 3. Any of the maps and stuff like that are going to be free, and you pay for like ammo packs or stuff like that. You can buy them or you can earn them within the game, just like 3 was. So that's it. The next game I went and checked out was Earthfall, which is they had it running on PC with mouse and keyboard, which I did try and played very poorly. It's humans fighting AI aliens, so it's a 4-player again, kind of like Mass Effect is, but they're kind of going for the Left 4 Dead. That's what I was. Yeah, they even said it. It was inspired by that. They're like, look, we're not going to get another Left 4 Dead, so we've kind of done it like this, but a completely different story. And Earthfall is like when it's the Earth was destroyed, so now you're in this post-apocalyptic world with aliens. That and in a destroyed Earth fighting aliens. So you got the different weapons and stuff like that. So it's 1 to 4 multiplayer. So if you just jump in with one, you'll have bots will fill in. You have story-based objectives where you have to run through, and you're running through, and again, either by yourself with 3 bots, or you can play with other friends, co-op, and you're trying to complete these objectives and kill the aliens and whatnot. And, you'll have weapons that can be upgraded. As you play through the story, the weapons will be upgraded. It's not like a skill tree or anything like that. And, the same thing as like when you were playing Left 4 Dead. You had to pick up health packs and stuff like that. You kind of have the rooms that you go into you can pick up. And while I was playing it, right at the end of the demo that they had, man, they had a horde come at you just like in Left 4 Dead that came at you that was crazy. It was really hard. Again, we only tried it once. So I think if we tried it a couple more times, we probably could have done it. But and I enjoyed it. I was playing mouse and keyboard, so I can't really speak on how well it really controls. It seemed to control pretty reasonably well, but I'm not used to playing on mouse and keyboard. So I was enjoying that. This is one of the games that I was mentioning that I would play on console. So and that is something that they're looking to do. So.
Cool. I just watched a little bit of the trailer for it. It looks intriguing. Now, where was this? Was this on the indie side or more on the?
Oh no! This was a great big. They had a big section in the middle there. Closer to where the Xbox stuff.
Their booth was one of the coolest. They had like the crazy alien setup. It reminded me of Evolve, but they had Evolve's booth a few years ago. Because I got to take some cool pictures in front of the aliens.
Right.
Was it near Nintendo? It was on like the Twitch Nintendo side.
Yeah, it was off to the side of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you go through, and they had a setup with all the PCs and stuff. And then, like you said, they had like these alien creatures, and one of them that thing must have been 12 feet high.
Yeah, it was cool.
Set up with the earth fall next to it. And they had a smaller one over where you would come out as you come out. And as you come out, they'd give you a T-shirt when you finish playing. So I got that. And just to go back to Mass Effect real quick, I forgot. I did get some Andromeda cards signed by the devs. I have pictures of it also. If you look through my Twitter feed from those days, we have those. And that is something we'll be giving away through Gamers in Beta. So... we'll figure something out later on. Like I said, this is the day after we're just kind of getting settled back in. So, and then just to finish up with Earthfall, like I said, you play as a survivors doing excursions, discovery, upgrades, medium. If you want to play it on PC, you only need a medium range PC to play on. They were playing on 960s, on maxed out. They were maxing out the graphics and everything with just a 960 and an i7, so pretty good. And most of the weapons are real-world based weapons, melee. They're not like laser weapons or anything like that. You can jump, you can crouch, and that's about it. Okay. The next thing I moved on to. You guys have any questions?
Nope, I think that pretty much covers it. I guess the only question I have for everybody, are we burnt out on these types of games? We just covered 2 in a row, where Mass Effect is going to be, again, a Horde style, 4 players, Earthfall, 4 players. Is there anybody in this panel here that says, gee, I can't get enough of that genre, I'm glad they're making more games like this?
Well, we kind of fell out of love with Gears 4 Horde mode. It was a lot of fun, but we fell out of love with it fast. And, I don't know about you guys, but I saw it on the floor. It looked really cool, but it held my attention for about 2 minutes. Like, it's just not what I'm in the market for right now, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's the problem, is trying to get people to play, because that's the one thing I miss is, we're playing Horizon Zero Dawn right now, or Zelda. Well, except for Sean, he's doing his survival game stuff, Conan or Ark or.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm trying to get a little bit out of the survival thing. Like I that's why I can't wait for Mass Effect, because the story. I didn't see Earthfall. I wish I would have seen this one. I might have been interested in this one.
You probably, I bet you saw the aliens, but you probably didn't see the hashtag Earthfall like above it. I didn't see that until the third day, but I think I walked by the aliens like 3 times, just not really realizing what the booth was.
Right, exactly. So, and it looks really good. So, the big thing I think is, like you said, we fell out of love with Horde. The problem is it if you go in there, you're playing with friends, you're going to have a group of friends that are playing these games. And there's so many games out now that it's diluting that pool of people that you're going to play with. So now that's why we've been playing like Battlefield, Battlefront. You know, there was Division for a little while, but it doesn't last long because they are, like Mike said, they're a glutton of these, and they're putting them out, and there kind of is.
I just read a story today that said For Honor player base has already been cut in half. Well, no shit. Once you release all those other games, I mean, Ghost Recon, Horizon, people can only hang with so many games at a time.
And that's why I didn't buy Ghost Recon. Is I was like, I'm gonna buy the thing, and then it's going to be gone through real quick. And it wasn't fun unless you were playing co-op with your friends. That's what made it fun.
Well, I think one of you guys said off mic one of those days before we started recording, like, yeah, all these games kind of seem subpar, but look at the bar that was set the week before fucking PAX. Like, Look at those couple of games that came out. Those are really high bars to set. Totally different genre than what these games are aiming for.
Yep.
Right.
All right, Jay, this next game here, I really enjoyed the first one, Steamworld Dig. Steamworld Heist came out as well, which is more of a tactical shooter. So this is going back to the Steamworld Dig formula. Tell us, is it worthy of a successor?
Do you remember Dorothy from the first one?
She was like the one of the merchants or something like that?
Yes, she was the merchant. You're now playing as Dorothy. Okay. And it's just more of Steamworld Dig.
So that means you're not playing it because you can't relate to female robots?
Yeah, I can't relate to being a female robot, so
you're
I'm going to play it anyways.
All right.
Got a little dick. It's pathetic.
Well, when you're Dorothy, you don't have one at all. But and they said that you will see some of the characters from the other games, and I say other games as in Mike just mentioned. There's 2 others. There was Steamworld Dig, and then also you had Steamworld Heist. And they said, without any spoilers, that you will see characters from the others that they will tie in through playing the storyline on this. It looked very nice. I was playing on Switch. I was playing on a Switch, and I did not use the Pro controller. I was using the regular controller, and it wasn't too bad. I was just trying to get through and remember because it's been so long since I played Steamworld Dig, which I really enjoyed. I play that on my Vita. I think this is a perfect game for Switch, but they don't really have a release date or anything like that yet. They're just the big thing they did say that's the biggest difference is that the scope of the game is much bigger, as far as maps, and I believe maybe the stuff that's in with the merchants, there'll be more stuff that you can get, maybe an expanded thing there. So, but I mean, they're still early on, so they're still working on these things. So
they work pretty fast, though. Usually when they announce something, it's in the same year. I would be surprised if this thing is not out
they're
sometime in the summer.
Year. Yeah, they are aiming for this year. So, and he did mention that, like in Steamworld Dig, the original, there was only one map world, right?
No, there was a couple different worlds. Like you went into there was like underground, like sort of dirt crustaceans, but then you went into a world that was like, totally like metal, like, at the heart of things of what was going on.
Right. Now, with this one, they said there's also going to be a jungle, a ghost yard, which I don't mean if it means a junkyard, but something like that. And he said there'd be more than that. So
you just got to play with the dog controller, and you didn't get to play with the tablet or anything like that?
Yes, it was the dog controller. That's right. Yes. So, yes, that the one that comes with it that doesn't have the charger, but they had the one with the charger. So basically that one. So, and he said it'll probably be anywhere between a 10 and 20-hour game. So,
all right. What was next? I know their sort of sister studio that they always sort of partner up with that PAX. Zoink Games was there.
Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to mention that where it's using HD Rumble, I did ask him if he was going to be using any motion controls or anything like that, and they said not at this point. They're just trying to get the game through, and more than likely they may or may not. Because I asked him, I says, if you have that, and then you're going on PS4 also, you can use the thing, and he was like, oh yeah, and so. It kind of ended there, but they said they didn't have any big plans for that. So the next one is, as Mike said, is Zoink Games out of Sweden. Is Flipping Death. It's the same people that made Stick It to the Man.
Oh, it looks just like Stick It to the Man, the animation. I thought that's what it was when I walked by it.
He actually, I did too, because when you go by the booth, there's posters. The biggest posters that they had in there said Stick It to the Man. But then over the TV that they were playing, it has Flipping Death. And you're this, what did I put the name? You play as Penny, who dies in the beginning. And then when she wakes up, she doesn't really remember how she died or anything like that. And she's trying to go through to try and discover what happened, I guess. It is what it seemed like. She has no memory of the cause of her death. So she has to go visit the other ghosts that are in this world. And she's helping them move on into the afterlife. Along with it, they're helping her figure out what happened to her. So you're kind of doing that. And it's a kind of a platformer, puzzly kind of thing. And you can there's live people that you can possess. So when you're in this ghost world, you go along and you can kind of see the shadows of these other characters. So when you walk up to them, you walk up to that shadow of them and you'd hit the Y button the Y button, and it would possess those people. And what happens is it like flips around. So it's like a reversed world. So it flips around, and then you go into the real people's world, and you've got those people possessed, and you can walk around. And each one of them has a different type of skill that you can use. Like, one guy, he can lick things. So you can walk up, and there's a lever that you have to pull. And so he can walk up and lick the lever to actuate it. Or there's another character that may have like a grasp ability that can walk up and grab the lever and actuate it. So what you have to do is, go around and use these different characters with their different skills to, activate or do different things. Maybe one guy can go in and pick a lock or something like that. I don't necessarily know if that's what is there, but, the one that I did do was the lever. So you go through and do that. Another one is, the guys are smooth talker. So he can go in and he talks to this preacher who is carrying around a liquor bottle, and he smooth talks him into giving him something so that you can move on and use that piece to go do another area. So it's kind of puzzly in that way. The movement is really weird because you're running around when you're in the ghost world and not possessed the other people. You're moving around into platform. You have your sickle, which you can throw and it catches in, and you don't use it as a weapon. It's only basically for movement. So you can kind of shoot it and you control it with the right stick, and it goes in and it sticks into the ground, and then you hit the trigger and it'll move you to that wherever it's stuck into the ground.
It looks so much like Stick It to the Man. It's got like the same 2D side scrolling. It's got the same like cardboard paperish diorama type aesthetic. Like the characters move the same. The mechanic you just described is exactly like the Stick It motion.
Same person that wrote Stick It to the Man did this, and they said that this is a spiritual successor to Stick It to the Man.
It should be Stick It to the Man 2 is exactly what it looked like when I walked by.
Yeah, that's basically kind of what they said. That's basically what it is, but they have different characters in different worlds, so they didn't do Stick It to the Man. So if you liked Stick It to the Man, which I thought it was okay, you'll like this one. And like I said, Stick It to the Man I thought was okay. I thought this was okay. It's very unique gameplay. The story is really wacky. The characters are really wacky. That's what I like about it. But I don't like the gameplay so much. But that's me. I don't like this stuff, this platform, the way it goes around. And I did have a little bit of a hard time figure out how to use the sickle to get around and move around, because you can jump too. It's just the sickle allows you to get up higher and stuff. So, of course, I'm an old man too. So, but that's my thing.
All right. And this next one is another 4v1 game, Dead by Daylight by Starbreeze Games.
I really enjoyed this game. Again, the problem with this game is you've got to have other people to play with, because it's a 4 versus 1 first person. One person is the killer who's chasing the 4 survivors.
All right. Now, let me just cut you off there for 1 second. Sean,
Yes, sir.
the Friday the 13th game is the same premise, right?
Yes.
Is.
Yep.
Now, this has been out. This was at PAX before, I believe. And they're going to be bringing it to consoles, which I'm sure Jay will talk about in a minute. Sean, have you seen this game compared to Friday the 13th?
I like Friday the 13th better than Dead by Daylight. I played.
Yeah, and I haven't played it.
And I don't know. It just seemed to be more Friday the 13th, even though that's not fully released yet. Seemed to be more complete. Seemed to be more refined. You know,
now, obviously, with Friday the 13th, we know the story behind that. Jay, did they explain the story behind this at all?
Doesn't really have a story. You're just playing
who is
these
this killer?
characters.
Just a killer? Just a random killer?
Well, you've got one person that plays the killer,
Right.
and there are multiple killers that you can play as. There's 6 playable killers. You got a trapper who uses traps to get the people. You have a hillbilly who has a chainsaw. You have a nurse who can teleport around and stuff. Then you have a hag who has an illusion trap, and a wraith who can go invisible.
All right, Corey.
And then the last one is Michael Myers, who has a weird ability. They said it was different from the others, where he has a stalk ability. He stares at the people, and the longer he stares at them, the more it builds up his power meter, which makes him more powerful to be able to kill the others.
All right, so Corey, Michael Myers aside, which one would you pick as your killer?
Okay, so I can't pick Michael Myers.
You cannot.
I don't know. I'd be curious about the hag's ability that he just spoke about, but I just like that he was going through and suddenly he was like a nurse who can teleport like all nurses could. That just that took me aback when he was describing all the killers. I love the concept of those type of games.
Yeah.
That dude, Starbreeze is like all over the place with their games. They do didn't they do Brothers? They did the Tale
They're the
of Two
publisher,
Sons.
though. They're not the developer.
Right, they're publishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Starbreeze is also doing that Osiris game. Right? Is that right? Sean?
Osiris New Dawn.
Is that Starbreeze, Sean, or is that?
I think so. No, wait a minute. Was it Star?
That's
I don't
Reverb.
know. I
That's
don't think
Reverb.
so.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, they've developed and I think they're expanding their publishing branch. They must be, because they used to just develop, I think, a while
They
ago.
wanted to show me that big war game that was there, that raid game.
Raid, yeah, World War II.
They want Starbreeze, that's them.
Yep.
Because they wanted me to see Raid, they wanted me to see this game, Dead by Daylight, and they also wanted me to see the next game that Jay's going to talk about in a minute, that Deliver Us the Moon game. So, yeah, they are pushing a lot of games. So, go on, Jay. What was your impressions of this?
It was interesting. I played as one of the survivors. They asked me which one I wanted to play. I decided I wanted to play as one of the survivors to try and play in there. As a survivor, you can do nothing. You can't. Well, I shouldn't say you don't. You can't attack the killer in any way. You don't defend yourself in any way other than hide and stay away from him. And there's stuff on the map that you can go to. There's like totems that you can go to, and you either pray or set up to them, and that helps you gain like stealth ability or something that helps you against the killer. I didn't quite figure it out because I only played the one thing there. So, and then you also can pick up you got your health, so you can get, if the killer gets you and hits you, because it's not an immediate kill. He runs up, he has to hit you 2 or 3 times, then he can carry you off. While he's carrying you, you can do a wiggle move, which you can get out of his grasp and then take off.
Press A to wiggle.
It sort of sounds like what happened at Corey and Sean's after parties.
Oh no, I know.
Which one was the wiggler?
I guess you'll just have to use your imagination.
All right.
I was Big Spoon every time. Guy would not. He
you were
would
the
not
nurse.
budge
You were
on
the
that.
nurse teleporting, and he was the wiggler.
Yeah.
giving away our secrets.
So with these 4 survivors, you're in third person, and you have no chat. They want to try and make it as creepy as possible.
I think that's
they say
bullshit.
with their game they don't add. Yeah, they don't add in a fear mechanic into the people, like that they're scared or anything, because they want the player themselves to feel that fear. And as you're running around it's kind of interesting. It's a different take. You're running around doing this stuff. You can knock down like there's crates and pallets and stuff, so that you can kind of block off areas so that the killer can't get you, because the killer is in first person and he has a very narrow view. So he could be like right next to you and not see you. And then you can also run around, but if you run, you leave like a hash mark on the terrain that the killer can see, which stays there for about 10 seconds after you've ran through that area. So if you see the killer and you try to run away so you're out of his sight, you will leave that mark, and then he can kind of follow it. But
so the one question I have before we move on is, why would I keep coming back to this? Is there sort of any leveling up system? Is there any incentive to keep playing other than, hey, this is fun, this is something to do with friends? But once I've been the killer once, or once I've gone through all the killers and I've gone through all the survivors, why am I coming back?
Hey, can I level up my wiggle at all, or no?
Yeah. No. If I think that I don't know if this would have staying power. I really don't. It's out on PC now, so you can get it on PC now. But the thing is this is the type of game that seems like you go in and play online, and if you get a group that you can play with, I think it would be a lot of fun. And you take turns moving around, and one person be the killer and run around. I think in that way that's what made it compelling. But
I mean, even in Evolve, you leveled up.
I don't know what would make it last. I mean, it's a $20 game, so.
Well, a lot of streamers were playing this with their chats. So basically, it's kind of like Jackbox 3, only it's with killers and survivors. You invite people in, and it seems more like a party game. Like you would whip this out if you were gonna, if you're just playing with friends and you want to dick around for like,
whipping it out and dicking around.
I know. I couldn't let that go either.
Big penis.
Yeah. Although I'm surprised with the content because they've gotten like all the Left 4 Dead characters. You can play as Bill, who has his own specific perks, and then they have the costumes of the other Left 4 Dead players in it. So they have that licensed, and they've got the Michael Myers, which, I mean, I'm not saying that's going to add or detract them whether you're going to play or not, or maybe it will with some people. And each time you play, there's rotating maps with 20 different visual settings for the map. And they kind of randomly generate each time you play.
Is it coming to console at all? I know you said it was $20. Is it coming to console?
Yeah, it will be coming out to PS4 and Xbox One this summer. So I played on PS4, so on the alpha build.
Well, you got 4 games left, and we want to get these done before what comes tonight, Corey?
Before God, the shitty weather does not stop in New England right now.
Yeah, so we are expecting about 2 feet of snow. But Jay, let's try to power through some more of these here.
This one I can get through quickly here.
Another Starbreeze game called Deliver Us the Moon. It's a space walking simulator. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Published by Starbreeze, if you didn't know that. No. They started this about 2.5 years ago. They crowdfunded it to get it started. They currently have 7 to 20 employees working on this. And it's I kind of described it as a spacewalking simulator. You're on the moon. You're sent there as a lone astronaut to explore multiple bases in the lunar landscapes, because something's happened with mankind where to get power for the Earth, they had done some experiments on the moon to produce power from something there. And you're going back up there to check out this, these multiple research bases up on the moon to see if you can recover this and bring it down to the Earth to be able to save Earth so that they can get power to run everything again. You can move around.
On the screenshots they sent me.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's running pretty poorly right now. There's a lot of screen tearing and stuff, but this is like pre-alpha right now. I mean, they're very early.
Keyboard, right?
Yes, and I had no issues playing mouse and keyboard, which surprised me. And I really, I mean, they just kind of had a short demo set up on it, and I enjoyed playing it. I liked the way it played, walking around and kind of exploring. It was a very relaxing game to play. I mean, that may change later on, as you move through it. But, you go up to, consoles, open them up, see what's in there, to open different doors. You move around. You get in the moon buggy. Yeah, after you open these doors up, it drops the moon buggy down. You go in, you drive over to a place. You have to spin. They have this power source. You have to spin around, and it uses radio waves to send power to different areas. So you're going to open this thing up to bring power back to the base you're in, and you go back in. And then that was basically the end of it. But, you got to hit buttons to open the doors, the airlocks. So I think it's got a lot of potential. I mean, it's not a lot there now, but it's got a lot of potential. And like I said, it's going to be basically a spacewalking simulator. So we'll see that. And it does look good. I mean, the landscapes and stuff, seeing the Earth in the background from the moon. So, and I have a feeling this is going to be kind of one of them things where you go in and play it, you're trying to do one thing, and I think there may be a surprise or something as you go along. So we'll see how that goes. Next, this is a game that I really liked last year at PAX East, is Refactor by Next Gen Pants. It's a morphing cube. You're moving this cube around that you can roll and you can morph and stuff. And you've got different colors in it, and it's a puzzle platformer, which I enjoy. It'll be on PC, Xbox One, PS4, and they are looking at possibly going to the Switch for the fourth quarter. And he said if it comes out and if it ends up being delayed to the first quarter of 2018, that's because they're going on the Switch.
Damn it, Corey, you're falling behind. Switch came up and you didn't play it.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt him. He's been on a roll, so I can get this. There we go.
There you go.
Well, this is more of a block, so it's not you roll, but it's kind of a thumping roll. But
I got no thump. I don't know what to do for your thump.
That was a bad dad joke.
There you go. There's a thump, I guess.
There we go. So so it's I enjoyed it last year. You got to kind of move around and figure things out. You got to go in and they've now added this swinging mechanic. So they've added some things and they changed it a lot from last year. Yeah, so they've changed it a lot from last year, but you'd have to see a video to really understand it. So go check that out.
Sean understood that.
Yeah.
What was that, Corey?
Oh, Jesus.
That was big.
Big penis.
Big penis. I don't have anything for swinging, but I just like how you guys you're totally out when it came to geometry, but as soon as you were into swapping for sex, right back in. That's like the theme
for sex.
That's like the theme of our show.
Next is The Church in the Darkness, which I think Mike was interested in this one. This is by Paranoid Productions. And they're looking to come to PS4, Xbox, and Steam. They're hoping for release this year.
Yeah,
they're just over.
Russell, what was his name? Richard Rouse, I think his name was.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's basically a one-person dev, and he has 14 other people who work kind of part-time. They're working on that and other stuff, so it's kind of a collaboration. But he is the main person doing it. And it's really weird. It's a top-down kind of stealth. You know how you get those
isometric?
No, it's like complete top-down, like old school Grand Theft Auto. If you ever played the first two Grand Theft Autos, like complete top-down, of course, much better looking. But it's like an action stealth game where it's procedurally generated too, like not even in just terms of environment, like in terms of characters and narrative completely. So like you're supposed to go find your niece or nephew, I can't remember which one, who's been taken
your nephew, yeah.
Nephew who's joined this cult. It's like in the 70s. They've joined like a Jonestown type cult down in South America, and you're supposed to like infiltrate the cult to find them. Sometimes the cult is actually like weird and creepy. Sometimes the cult is just like a bunch of hippies who wanted to get away from, American culture. So like, and you can decide how you want to play. Of course, you can find disguises to sneak in and infiltrate. You can find people inside the cult who actually want to defect. Sometimes they're like gun-toting. It's cool. I like the variety that it seems like it's going to have.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And then the cult part of it is interesting. And like you said, it's the cult leader personalities can change as you can play. They can be like pacifists, or you could come in and there's like these crosses that, they kind of have like this cutscene that comes in. There'll be crosses, and you'll see everybody praying around it. And sometimes there'll be blood around the crosses, and sometimes it won't be. It'll just be them praying. So, that it's a pacifist, or sometimes it can be pretty, I guess, brutal or whatnot. So you're moving around there. You hit a button and you can see the sight cones of like the people that are in there, and you've got to move around and go to the different cabins. And search, and so you can find stuff, that give you clues about what's going on with a nephew, how things are going, and also you can get ammunition, because when you start out with a gun with 8 bullets. And what he wants you to go in is he wants to be more of a realistic vision of going in here. I mean, you can't just go in there guns a-blazing and killing everybody, because if we did that in the real world, you get hauled off in a hurry and you can get charged for murder and all that stuff. But if you want to, you can go in there and start killing people. And
Sweet.
So you can go in there and doing the searches. One of the first things I found was a tranquilizer gun. So now I can go through and shoot them with a tranquilizer gun. But this game was hard as fuck. He
Was it hard
even
for you, Corey?
Absolutely. No, it changes every time, which was cool. So like Jay just mentioned that he found a tranquilizer gun. Like a lot of the times when I would look in things, I think the first thing I found was a rifle. So every single time you play through, it was it would have offered a very, very unique experience, not just in terms of environment, which was cool.
Yeah, because every time you play it, it changes. I mean, it's roguelike. I mean, everything changes up. When you die, you're done.
Well, it was a little more forgiving, because he told me that like it's more roguelite if you go in and your gun's blazing, they're just going to kill you. But let's say you weren't guns blazing and you got caught, they might put you in a cage. So it's a little more forgiving than most roguelikes, like depending on how you play.
I played through twice and did not do very well. Of course, we all know how well I do with stealth games. You run and start chucking grenades and rocket launchers, right? Well, I don't have grenades or rocket launchers, so I was getting seen. And so I made it through, and they catch you and they throw you in a cage, and then you escape from the cage, and then you try to start doing the same thing. You start trying to go through and check everything out again.
I got lucky in mine. I found a disguise, so everybody's sight cones got smaller, which was really cool.
Oh,
so
it reduced the sight cones. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you had to be closer to them for them to recognize you. And then if you got like a security guard's costume, which I got next, their sight cones got even smaller. So after you find that, the game did get quite a bit easier for my playthrough. So I managed to make it to the end, but I don't know if I would have if I hadn't been able to find those.
Yeah, I did not find that. I found both times. I played through twice, and I found the tranquilizer gun. So I had to try and search around. And he even said that the demo was a little harder than he thought it would be. He didn't realize. And sometimes you run into that when you're playing a game on your own and you've designed it, you know all the tricks, so it's easier for you. So he said it was a little bit harder than that. So then he did a quick run through and showed me how to kind of get through, and he failed. So I didn't feel as bad. So then he put in like a cheat code and went through and just showed me, the end of the demo. But I think this is a game that I might pick up. This is one of the ones you can pick up. You can play it, and probably you can do a playthrough in probably anywhere between a half hour to an hour. So
I thought he said something like 2. I haven't gone.
He said it could be up to 2 hours depending on how you play. So yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, Yeah, he said anywhere between half hour to 2 hour, 2.5 hours. He says the 2.5 hours would be really long, depending on how things. Because, like I said, each time you play the maps, the buildings, what's in the buildings, and all that all changes each time you play. So it gives it, some replayability, and it does make it interesting, even though it does seem like an older game because it's that top down. But pulling up, what did you think of like the documents and stuff that you would pull up and you read them, like the letters and stuff like that?
I mean, that was to give you a clue as to far as how the behavior of the cult was going to go and whether or not how you should play. But I mean, it was all very early, and it was just very, very as guided as he could make it, seeing as how it was procedurally generated. But I agree with you. I think I'll probably end up picking this up too. I like the idea that I could play through it many, many times, which is also good for streamers. Streamers could play through it. I don't know how many times. He told me how many endings there were, and I can't remember. I think he said ultimately there were only a couple, but there were many, many, many ways to get there. I guess there's a lot of different paths right now. I can't remember. I haven't. He's one of the guys I interviewed, and I haven't gone back through that interview yet.
Yeah, because there's alarms you can disarm and stuff like that too. So yeah, it's interesting. I enjoyed it. Again, if somebody has a video that you can check out, go check that out, because see if you like those kind of games. Next, I checked out Aftercharge, which is done by Chainsaw Awesome Games, which made Night Squad, which we all know I love. And we go see them every year. Well, they're doing something completely different now with Aftercharge. It's 3 invincible guards that are called enforcers versus 3 invisible melee robots that are called the Workonics. It's first person. You have 6 energy extractors on the map, which the guards are trying to prevent the robots who are invisible from destroying them. And the guards are invincible, so you can't kill them, but they can freeze them. And the robots have to use melee punches and stuff. But whenever you punch, and you also have to go up to these extractors and destroy them, and that's how you win as the robots. You destroy all 6 energy extractors. And but whenever you punch, it makes you visible. And as the guards, you have guns, and then you have these grenades that you throw that makes the robots visible. So if you think there's an area where you think they're in, you throw that in. So the robots kind of have to be stealthy and move around and, destroy these things. Maybe you've got one of the other guys to distract the guards and bring them over to another area, and the other 2 will go off and start trying to destroy the extractors and stuff. It's one of these games. It's a fine line with balancing, and they're still working on that. But I played it, and I'm not much for PvP, and this is very much a PvP game. And it wasn't bad. I can't say that I'm fully sold on it, but we'll see as it comes along. I think this would be an enjoyable game with friends. I can see this being a great party game with friends too, and it'll be multiplayer over, Xbox Live, Steam, or PSN. So their intent is to launch on PCs and consoles, but they are very early. But the thing that really surprised me is that even with a game that you need to balance very well, and the graphics look really good, and the movement and gameplay, I mean, everything seems very polished for a game that's so early in its development. So they're just as the first time they've shown it off. So, and they've only been working on it for a year. So,
and these are the guys that did Night Squad, right?
Yeah, these are the guys that did Night Squad. Their plan is to have 3 to 4 maps at launch, so you have 3 or 4 different maps to go with, and others will be released after launch for free, because they don't want you to make you pay for maps. They don't want to split the community that's going to play it. And what you will pay for is cosmetic skins and stuff, so as paid DLC. And at the show, it was on keyboard and mouse, and I was playing it, and I did not do very well because my skills on that are not very good. So
yeah, I wanted to try it too, but when I saw just keyboard and mouse, I was like, I'm gonna keep walking, I guess.
I was really surprised that it was just keyboard and mouse. I thought after coming from Night Squad, they surely would have had another game that was just as friendly with the controller, but I guess not.
Well,
this
it's
is
console
the biggest,
too, right? Didn't Jay say it was coming to console?
Yes, but and again, they're only a year into it, so their intent is to put controller support in it, and they do have controller support. You can play it with controller now. The problem is there are bugs, so that's why they were doing keyboard and mouse.
And they say this is definitely going to be online?
Yes, there's absolutely. They said that this game there's not enough people to play. You can't put 6 people playing, couch co-op. So
the only reason I asked is Night Squad got online play at the very, very end. So
right, and now that they've got that, that's why they're doing this. That's the biggest thing with this. I mean, it's such a so different from Night Squad. It's nothing like Night Squad. But he said it did start as something similar to Night Squad. It was a top-down and you were moving around kind of game. And then as they were moving along, they said, let's try something different here. And it moved forward in that way that that's why they've gone in this direction. But it's really different. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up, guys. It went on a little longer than expected. Does everybody have a game that they thought was the best they saw all weekend? Do we want to do something like that, or we want to skip that, or what are people's feelings?
I think my pick of PAX, if I had to make one, is going to be like I don't know if I can do this, but it's from the Daedalic booth, so it's like 2 games. One I saw last year, and I didn't play this year because I covered it last year, but was The Long Journey Home. Still super excited about that. And
I agree.
It's like, I don't know what you would call it. The sister game, which I actually took an interview for, was Shadow Tactics, which was Tenchu meets Commandos. And that's all I got to say, because that's fucking fantastic.
Those are both fantastic games, and I agree. Long Journey Home is something that I am very much interested in. I wish I'd had some time to sit down and play that again, because it looks like it's advanced quite a ways. So, but for me, it was What Remains of Edith Finch, even though it's just basically a walking walking simulator discovery game. The way they're doing it is really different, and I will be getting this when that one comes out, and I will probably do is sit down and just play right through it, or at least through individual stories as they go, because each room's a different story. And what they did with the demo, where you just did the one room there, walking around and discovering, and it was just more than that. It moved you beyond that story and brought you further out. I really enjoyed it. So it kind of Edgar Allan Poe-like. So that was probably my game of show that I enjoyed.
All right. Sean, how about you? Anything sticks out?
Yeah, Motörhead. That thing was Victor Vran. I'm not usually into those games, but that soundtrack is kick ass. So
yeah,
I definitely could find myself playing that for sure. That would have to be. I mean, I saw so many, and there's just so much that I got acclimated to going to PAX that I would have never seen otherwise. I mean, there's so many games that I would love to get a chance to play, but I think that one was probably the one that made the most impression on me. Just for for me, it's all about the music. So that's a thing.
I think it was one of the first games that I played on Friday that was my best in show, and that's Next Machina from Housemarque. Of course, worked on Resogun and Alien Nation and Dead Nation. So this is their next game. It's an arcade-style twin-stick shooter. Of course, it's coming from going to be on PS4, as all their games are. I guess it's supposed to be taking hints from both Robotron and Smash TV. So if those things are up your alley.
Mm-hmm.
So Next Machina, a PS4 exclusive, was my best of show.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Farpoint too, but I don't have PSVR, so that's why it's not super top. But it did make me want a PSVR.
All right, guys. Well, this has been our longest show out of the 3, but we had lots to cover. Thanks to Jay for filling in for me because I could not be there. But yeah, this is the end of our Day 3 wrap-up show. We'll be back on Sunday for our regularly scheduled show where I'm sure we will have more impressions on Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda and other things. Any parting words, or should we end this bad boy?
I think we need to end this because I got some Horizon Zero Dawn I got to get done.
All right. Well, why don't you take us out, Jay?
All right. Until next time, same beta time, same beta channel, and no more PAX coverage till next year. See ya.
Stella.